Hello and welcome to the Drumwell podcast, where we look at what drummers do away from the kit in order to do their best behind the kit. And I have a fantastic guest today. You might know him from Obituary, Andrew WK, and the Tardy brothers, Donald Tardy, DT. How you going,
What's up?
mate?
Pretty good, man. How you doing, Top?
I am fantastic. I really appreciate you being here. We caught up about a month ago when you were down here and discussed it, and yes, stoked that you are keen to be a part of it.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you allowing me to be a part of it. And you and I had a chat when I was there in your town when we played. When I was having my I don't know if that was lunch or dinner or whatever it was, but you were telling me a little bit about your back problem, and that sucks. And Lord knows, most of the time, us humans stay healthy and we take that shit for granted. But the minute you're not, it's a real reality check.
Yeah, for sure. I was at the point where I was wondering if I could continue to play drums, because it was sort of getting to that point where it was starting to hurt after shows and stuff. And but I mean, yeah, I've done a lot of work on it, and it's really good. I actually just stepped out of the gym about half an hour ago.
Right on.
Doing my daily routine and lifting and whatnot, functional training. But yeah, that's actually really leads well into our first talking point. You've been doing this at an elite level for many years. I mean, Obituary formed as Executioner in 1984. As Obituary since '89. Like that's a lot of years doing what you do. So what do you actually do away from the kit to keep your body primed for drumming, like exercise, diet, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, I really don't do anything out of the ordinary. I don't think than any other people. I would lie if I said I ate well all the time, and I'd be lying if I said that I focus on my body and my drumming body all the time, because I do not. What I do is I stay active in life away from touring, because obviously us drummers, when we're on tour, we catch a mean workout every night, and everybody knows that, especially death metal drummers. We're going at it 15, 17 songs a night, so that keeps you straight up in shape. But that only happens part of the year. So when you do come home, I stay active. A lot of people know that I take care of colonies here in Florida, and probably in parts of Australia as well. As there's a lot of homeless cat issues here in Florida because there's no winter time. So cats are overbreeding. And I learned about 16, 17 years ago, just kind of how to help my neighborhood, how to help my community with the overpopulation of feral cats. And here we are 17 years later, my girlfriend and I, it's probably a little over 30 different locations, colonies, and probably just under 100 cats that that I care for, and I do that on a daily basis. So I guess my point is it keeps me active, because I have my daytime routines, which, like everybody, I go to the studio, I work on music, I deal with typical days, normal days. But then right when the sun is going down, I have about 85 cats waiting for some food, and I've been doing this for a little over 15 years. So for about 2 hours of my time each night, every night, I go feed my colonies, and that's just with my pickup truck, but also a lot of walking and a lot of moving fast for about 2.5 hours. I think my iPhone keeps track of my steps, and I probably do 3 or 4 kilometers a day, a night. That really keeps my legs in shape and keeps my body, I believe, in shape. And then I'm just a hyper I always been since I was a kid. Now in my 50s, I'm still just, I don't like to slow down. I don't like to just lay around. And so I think that helps my body. Um, on the contrary, I've always had back issues. I mean, I was 23 years old when I met my chiropractor, and I still
Yeah,
have the
right.
same chiropractor. And
Yep.
it's just one of those things where I'm fine and dandy most of the time, but when you throw your back out, Lord knows that anyone that's done it, you're down for the count for a while.
Mm.
And so I'm fortunate now. Like this last shit, man, this last decade of my life, I've only seen my chiropractor maybe two or three times. I go
Pretty good.
years without seeing him, um, and so that's awesome. But there are times in my life where my back gives out on me, and it's always been that way. My father was that way, and from what I understand, my grandfather was that way. So it's a gene pool thing,
Hmm.
and I know that. So I don't I don't go to a gym. I don't work out like that, but I stay super active, and I probably do 3-4 kilometers a day of just on my feet and wearing my shoes out.
Yep, that's great. That's actually I actually read a book recently called Ikigai. It's they sort of did some research on these people on the island of Okinawa down in Japan, and their secret. These are all like super centurions and centurions, 100,
Yeah,
120-year-old people who are just, and that's their thing. They just live an active life. They don't go to the gym. They don't do anything specific. They're just active and do things
yeah,
they're passionate about, exactly like what you're doing there.
yeah,
Just while we're on the subject, I'll give it a little plug. Metal Meow Lisha.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, man.
DC's been doing that for many, many years.
I have.
I actually went to a little fundraiser gig thing you threw. I was
Cool.
staying down with Trevor, and you had one on at the Brass Mug. I think that was like 2012 or something when I
Yeah,
was living over there. Yeah, so it's
yeah,
been
man.
been doing it for a long time. So that's
Yeah,
great, and it's
and thanks for the plug. And
oh for sure.
I don't ever, not often do I plug it, nor do I post much about it, because most of the good people on the planet, they appreciate it, and they voice their opinion and comments, and their good words. But there's a lot of ugly people on the planet as well, that take advantage of some of the posts, and try to find my locations and either harm the cats,
Uh,
or they end up dumping a pet that they don't want anymore on me. And that's about the saddest, most pathetic thing somebody can do, is to take a pet of yours off the couch and go bring him to one of my colonies and think that he's gonna or she's gonna be okay simply because I feed them every night. But they're not street smart. They don't have the skills to stay out of traffic and away from human beings, and they're the ones that end up getting injured or killed. And I've had that happen to me, not very often, but of course after 17 years of doing it, there's some dumbass fucking people on this planet that that take advantage of something like that. So I appreciate the plug, and like I said, I do it because I'm passionate about it, and I also know that it does positively affect my neighborhood, my
yep.
community, and it keeps the population down. And so that's what we do, is we get them spay neutered. If anyone isn't familiar with it, I don't just feed homeless cats. We get them all trapped, neutered, and returned. So what
Hmm.
that is I trap them. I bring them to the Humane Society here in Tampa Bay, and they get fixed, and then I return them right where they were trapped at their colony, so they know where they are. They can
Mm.
still live their lives, but they can't get pregnant anymore, or they can't. The males, they don't want to fight and spray and piss all over the place anymore. So it's a good win-win situation kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's obviously good. Obviously, as we just discussed, it's really good for your health and
Absolutely.
your mindset, your agility. So you're walking around and doing some kilometers. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, man. And
Mm.
yeah, so back to drumming. back.
Yeah, well, actually, it actually segues straight in there. I was just going to ask you. I've actually had the pleasure of doing a couple of lengthy tours with Obituary. Once
Yeah,
back
man.
in 2009 when I was with the Berserker, and also that was US, and then once in 2016 when we toured Europe as I was drumming with King Parrot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've actually watched you do some warming up at many nights. But that sort of segues into that.
Sure.
What do you do? What's your warm up routine for practice and for shows? Is it different? Is it the same?
Yeah, I mean, it's really not the same. And again, all it goes back to now is my age. You know, back when I was 20 years old or 30 years old, I would focus on warming up drumming wise and making sure I'm feeling good with my legs or my hands, trying to get prepared to play a show. But nowadays, it's the reality of a 50-year-old back and a 50-year-old body. And I more now, all I do is I just make sure that my body is warm. So like before the show, as you know, when you're touring like America, if you're warming up like I do, I don't necessarily go into the venues or try to go backstage because it's usually just chaos back there and too many band members and too many friends. So I sit on my bus.
Yeah.
I sit on my bus, but you know, American tour buses, they're fucking freezing. We keep them cold on purpose. So I bundle up, man. I bundle up, and I usually, like this last 8 years of my life, it has been a routine that I just make sure my body is prepared to go into the venue and play. And it's as simple as putting on some Dio or some metal and putting on a couple jackets and start just warming up, just start stretching my lower back, doing simple push-ups, doing simple squats, literally a lot of stretching of the lower back and the quads and your hamstrings and shit. And I don't do a lot of rudiments. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm not trying to do single stroke rolls and get my forearms ready to go. I just make sure that my body temp is nice and fight ready. You know, I'm stepping into the venue almost breaking a sweat before the first song, because I know that within 4 minutes or 6 minutes, I'm going to be soaking wet and I'm going to be, playing my ass off. So I really just focus on just getting my body core, my temperature right, and making sure my lower back and my back is stretched out.
I have actually, and I guess people listening who've seen Obituary might have noticed that you do generally start the first couple of songs wearing that sort of jacket.
I do.
And it's sort of, you sort of take off layers as you go. But and it's sort of, you can tell how warm you are. Like recently in Brisbane, I think the jacket was off after the first song.
Yeah.
But
and that's just again, I don't even know why I did that, but you know, the silly brain of a human being. You know, it's almost like if the Aussies know Charlie Brown, you know, the cartoon from the 70s. It's like Linus. It's like my security blanket. For some reason, I just like it. I start the show, and it's the same jacket. That's what's fucking funny, is that jacket I've had going on 23 years. Wow. It was when I got signed with Yamaha. I was touring with Andrew WK at the time. It was about 20 years ago, maybe 22 years ago, I think. It was 1990, it was 2001 or 2002. I got signed with Yamaha, and when I went to Japan, I got to go to the factory and see where all the Yamaha drums were built. And I actually built a snare drum that day. They showed me every process from the plywood, selecting the layers, seeing how it's folded, how it's cut and trimmed and made into a sphere, how it's cut off and beveled. I actually drilled all the fucking holes for the lugs. Awesome. And anyway, it was a jacket they handed me when I first made it to the factory. It was a little bit cold in the factory, and they wanted us to wear it because they were also taking pictures of us. So it was a little Yamaha logo. But anyway, it's just the stupidest button-up piece of shit jacket, but it lasted so long. Yeah. And I ended up, I don't know, I was proud of it. I was very proud of that jacket because I'm a Yamaha endorsed drummer. I was like,